Welcome to Sakshi TV special immigration show with Kaveti Garu from Kaveti Law Group. Please tune in to ask your questions. If you are an immigration attorney and would like to join us on our show, please email us at usa@sakshi.com or call 866-725-7441. Before we begin the show, please note that this program is not legal advice and for general purposes only. Sakshi TV or its agents are not responsible for any use of the information. Without any further delay, let's welcome Mr. Kaveti Garu onto our show. Hello, Kaveti Garu. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Nitya. It's nice to see you.
It's really nice to have you back on our show.
Same here. I've been missing the shows from last year, so back into business.
We heard that you're coming to India. So when are you planning to come, Kaveti Garu?
Yeah, we'll be there in April 7th to May 15th. I'm visiting different cities. We are opening up an office in Delhi. It's going to open on March 3rd. And we are going to cater the North Indian clients. And simultaneously, we are opening offices in both Telangana and Andhra. More offices, starting with Nirmal and Karimnagar, Warangal, Khammam, Vijayawada, and Tirupati. So the dates will be announced on my, social media platforms. What days I'll be there, even on my Facebook. If anybody wants to come and see us, we will be happy to give them advices. There are some lawyers coming from New York, and there are some lawyers coming from UK and Australia as well. So we'll be providing free legal advices to clients basically on immigration law and people who have some domestic issues, family law. If anybody wants to set up a company in the western part of the world, if anybody wants to do a trademark, patent registrations, anything to do with corporate litigation or immigration wise, if they want to migrate to Australia or Canada or even in America, So that's going to be our journey.
Okay. In which cities are you going to be available, Kaveti Garu?
Starting, I'll be in Hyderabad because that's when my corporate headquarters for, Telangana. We will be in Vijayawada as well. We are opening an office in Vijayawada, the Kaveti Law International, and many lawyers are joining us. And we're also looking for some interns, law interns, if they want to come and work for us. And we're also looking for some good employees. We're also connecting ourselves with a lot of student, overseas, education consulting firms, because lately what's happening is a lot of students are getting deported from US. And when they take a student visa, when they come to America, they're being detained at the border security and they're being sent back to India. So we want to conduct some seminars, pre-departure for students. After they get a visa, what measures they have to take, what they should be careful, things like that. And two, from last year, there was multiple registrations of H1B employers and employees. And even after H1B getting stamped, they've been sent back to India, deportation, or even notice to intent to revoke or cancellation of visa, what measures they should take. We're going to advise in all those subjects. And of course, we will definitely be able to help the employers and employees. And now the latest H1B rush is coming. We're getting a lot of calls. And what measures they have to take, how they have to decide which employer is good, can they do multiple registrations, and all of that we're going to cover. But I guess, you're going to ask me all those questions. So those are the areas we want to touch base.
So let's begin with how come many students are getting deported, like you can see from last year. So can you just brief us a little bit about that?
Yeah, if you see the initial students who are coming to United States after they get a visa, there is a misnomer in our country or anywhere in the world. Oh, you got a visa, your life is done. No, it's not that. Because once your visa is granted to you, you're coming into the country, there's going to be another inspection. There is going to be another interview by the border security force. And these are customs and border security individuals. They are basically ICE, Immigration and Custom Enforcement. These are police officers of immigration. So what they do, they will do an interview. They are trained to read your body language, number one. Number two, these days they are also introducing dogs to sniff you at the border security. That means if you're bringing some food and you lie to them that you're not bringing, so those dogs will smell and let the officer will know that you're bringing some food. But because you lied to the officer, that itself is a ground to deport you. And third thing is, our guys, consultants, immigration consultants or education consulting companies, overseas education, visa consultants, what they do fabricated bank statements and they will manage some money in the bank. Don't do things like that. So they have to bring at least 4 to 6 months of bank statements of their parents or who is sponsoring. So we're going to tell them all those things. That's called pre-departure, counseling. That means before they start to America, what are the measures they have to take? So unfortunately, what is happening? These kids who are coming and these consulting companies don't have an experience of immigration law. They don't tell them anything. So the students who are coming, when they come, they are coming with some bank statements, which has money before they come. And once they come here, the officer wants to check up, and when they do a checkup, there's no money, and they will say that you don't have enough money, you're not coming to the country for paying the fees, so they get deported. And sometimes people are coming with fake education certificates. They're getting deported. Sometimes clients are coming, they're already contacting their friends on their social media because the officers, when you come, they will also take your handle of social media, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, or anything. So if these guys who got a visa, if they're getting in touch with their friends asking for a job, can you look for a job for me? I'm coming particular this city. They are going to look at all those things and say, hey, you're not coming to study here, you're coming to get a job. So those are the things they're looking at, and they will deport you. And deportation is a very serious crime, Nitya. Once they're deported, they can never come back to America. It's an international crime. It is like treason, like Desadrom, Gaddar. You know that you're betraying the American government by lying and by fabricating fake documents of bank statements or educational certificates. They have to be careful. And the other most important thing for students when they're coming, when you're bringing the food, declare that. If you lie, the custom enforcement guys and border security guys, if you're lying to an officer, is an offense of cancellation of visa, and it is a crime, federal crime. They could put you in a jail. They could send you back to your country, and they will sometimes put you 24 hours, and they will send you back. Sometimes they'll buy a ticket, or they will ask you to buy a ticket. So once you're sent back to India or your home country, you can never come back because you lied to an immigration officer. That itself is a felony. What is a felony? Felony means more than 1 year jail term. In immigration law, that's a very serious offense that you're lying to the officer. So don't lie. If you don't understand, ask them again and again. You got to be careful. This is another interview. Once you go through that, you will come inside the country. The other most important thing is a lot of our students, let's say if their college is in New York, they will go to California or Texas. Don't do that. Come to New York. If your college is in California, go to California. Why? When the officer asks them, oh, I'm visiting my cousin. Oh, I'm visiting my sister. No sister business, no brother business, no friend's business. Go to the school because you're coming to the school. Ask your school authorities to come and pick you up. If they're outside, go out and go and join the school. Sometimes you have a boarding, dorms. Go to the university accommodation. If you have set up your own accommodation, have the address where you're staying. Did you pay the rent? Did you pay the school fees? Sometimes they don't have money. If they're asking, officers are asking how much money you carry. Don't say I'm carrying $500, $300. Oh, I have a credit card I can use. They don't believe any of that. You're coming to US, bring some substantial money, bring in dollars, or don't say that I'm having credit cards of my parents or somebody else. Don't say that I'm having some traveler checks, because those things they don't believe you. So bring some money and have if you're bringing, if your father is sponsoring or anybody, bring their phone numbers. If somebody is giving you a bank statement or a loan, bring the bank manager's phone numbers, ask them to be available. And if you can show, sometimes these kids are coming into America, they don't even know how to operate a cell phone. They don't know how to show their bank account details, username, password. When you get panicky, when you don't have all of that, then the officers are doubting your antecedents. So if they have to avoid all these things. So these are the measures they have to take.
Okay, so let's talk about the H1B Cap registration. Uh, when is the period typically begin? When does it begin?
Yeah, because it's an H1B rush now, and a lot of lawyers are also getting a lot of calls, and a lot of consulting companies are also calling. And of course, people who have not been successful last year, they're also approaching the companies here. The most important thing, this March 6th, the registrations are starting, and it will end on March 22nd. And the result will be on March 31st. So anybody who is interested in filing their H1B on a regular quota or an H1B master's quota. What is the meaning of that? Regular quota is somebody who has a bachelor's degree, they go on a regular quota. And people who are applying for a profit making companies or non-profit making companies, you go on a regular quota. I mean, of course, profit companies, they can file H1B around the year, but these are profit making companies. And if you're a master's graduate in America, not in home country, if somebody has completed his master's, they graduated, if they want to get an H1B, so they have a master's quota. So it is starting on March 6th and until ends at March 22nd, and the results will be on March 31st. So,
Okay.
they have to rush, they have to find out the employers, and they have to get in touch and see the bona fide employers. There are so many, the way it's happening in India. It's a time, a lot of fake employers are also there. They're opening up companies from their home addresses and they apply. And they solicit so many clients in India. They take money and they make applications and they make frivolous applications. Sometimes they don't even make applications, but they will take the money and they will roll over that money and they will refund some part of it. So be careful for these employees. They have to be careful of employers. Who is a bona fide employer? When did they incorporate a company? How many years old companies? Sometimes what is happening in India, in America, a lot of H1B guys, and these days even students are registering companies. Find out the promoter. Who is the promoter? Do they have a green card? Do they have citizenship? And the employees have to check it out who the promoter of the company is. And don't file H1s when some H1B guy is running a company, or when some student is running a company, or sometimes there's some illegal people are also incorporating a company. And there are some employers who are sitting in Hyderabad, sitting in India, approaching some deliver companies, registering a company in America. You can't do that. You can't sit and sponsor people sitting in India or sitting in Gurgaon or Noida. There has to be a physical premises in America. The Department of Immigration says that. The Department of Labor says that there should be a physical premises. The employer has to be a green card holder. The employer has to be a citizen. And the company has to have credentials. What does it mean? They should have a physical premises. And a lot of time people call and ask, oh, can I have an office in Riga's business center and have just an address? Or because we have just a phone number, call forwarding facility. Or can we just have an address where they forward the mail? No, you have to have a physical location. If you're hiring 10 people, have a 10-seater office. You can't have a two-seater office and sponsor 10 people. No, because when the immigration comes and checks it up, when Department of Labor checks it up online, they know your location because they're looking at your lease. How many square foot office is this? These are the basic things. And see how many years of tax returns they have. and have they filed H1s in the past? And if they go to the Department of Labor, the employees can check up sitting in any part of the world whether these employees have committed any violations, any Department of Immigration violations, any Department of Tax violations, any Department of Labor violations if they have not paid salary to their employees. And sometimes the Department of Labor declares that these companies are blacklisted companies. Check it out. Do your due diligence. And the most important thing, what I suggest all my clients who are calling us, there is a company called Dun and Bradstreet, which is an international company. If it is a good company, these Dun and Bradstreet will allocate a number. Ask your employer who is sponsoring, are you in Dun and Bradstreet? They will give you the credit rating of that company. They will tell you how many employees they have. They will tell you what is the turnover of the company. Many employers are reluctant to give this information, but check it out because buyer be aware. You want to get your H1B, get from a good company, those who have a good location, those who have good credentials. Have they done H1s in the past? Have they got H1 approvals? Are they being subjected to any audit by the immigration last year because they have filed multiple applications? Do they have multiple companies? Are they doing like a scam? Are they filing multiple applications? Ask them, ask the employees have a right to ask. So these are the things, checks and balances. If they can take care of this, they should be all right.
How do the registrations get selected for the H1B Cap lottery?
It's done by the immigration. It's all computer. The computer picks up. I mean, nobody has any control over that. But the other thing is, the most important thing is prevailing wage. They have to see whether this employee has filed from any other company. The employers also has to check it with the employees. Are you filing H1 with any other employer? What job position they are giving? Are you filing from two different employees, multiple registrations? The employer has to check it out with the employee, and the employee also have to check it out with the employer. Sir, do you have any other company? Are you filing multiple registrations? What job position are you giving me? What is the prevailing wage? And what state that company is? And what is my prevailing wage? So they have to check up all of that. So the employer has certain obligation, the employee has certain obligation. The best thing is because the H1B process registration is a complex process, it is better to take an assistant of an immigration attorney. See, what has been happening, Nitya, in America, a lot of employers don't want to spend money on the lawyers. So they do their own filing of registration. So their secretaries will do, sometimes they will go online, they do by themselves. Sometimes they might not comply the immigration law, they might not do a good job, the application will not be picked up. So if you're an employee, ask your employer, who's your attorney? What is the credibility of that attorney? Check out online and ask them, get the information. And if they have filed, then they get a receipt. Ask the receipt. The employer is obligated to provide everything. Most of the times what they do, the DAC employers, they will tell the employees, oh, we filed it, but we don't have an obligation to provide you anything. That is wrong. This is public document. Under the public access, they have every right to get it. Once it's picked up, also the immigration notifies the name of the employer, name of the employee, and the passport number. The employer is obligated to provide that to the employee. So every step of the way, except what is the revenue of the employer, except how many employees they have, except couple of information, the employer is obligated to provide everything to the employee. So those are the checks and balances by the employer and the employee.
Okay. Kaveti garu, are there any exemptions or exceptions for the H1B Cap registration?
Yes, there are. Sometimes if you're, there is for example, you were an H1B in the past, but you did not use that H1B cap. So you want to come back again this time. So you don't have to wait for the lottery. You can ask the employer to file around the year. That's called cap exempt. You're not exempt from the cap. And sometimes if you're a nonprofit also, you're exempt from the cap. Those are the only two situations. And sometimes employees, they come and work in America for a couple of years and they go back and they have another 4 years. They also can use that 4 years again. So they don't have to go through the registration process. Those are cap exempt and exemptions.
Okay. What will be the next step after you get selected in the lottery?
The employer is, it is again choice of the employer and employee. If the employee gets picked up with a couple of places, it's for the employee's choice which employer they have to go through. But I strongly recommend that only one H1B has to be filed. Don't do multiple applications and multiple registrations. And of course, you can do multiple, but from two different companies. And if you're picked up in two, just take one employer and file one H1B. And the companies can also do premium processing. And the H1B registration fees is only $10 this year. And it is getting increased from 10 to 250 next year, not from this year. But definitely there's an H1B increase. I-129 fees and premium processing fees have increased more than $300 for each. So what does it mean if somebody wants to get a premium processing? They will pay more fees. That means employer will pay, not the employee. So first thing is the employer has to get the education evaluation of the employee based on their education and their skill and work, and then prepare the H1B package. I would strongly recommend that if the employer and employee can take help of immigration attorneys, it'll be better. But problem is most of the times employers, they do on their own because they have in-house guys doing it. And it's very surprising. They have some employees sitting in India and doing it. I mean, how would a guy sitting in India would know how to do a prevailing wage and how to do the compliance of Department of Labor regulation, and they're cutting and pasting supporting letters. They're not drafting it for each employee. And in terms of offering the job and what sort of benefits they're giving, and the drafting of an employment contract even, they're taking something available online, and most of the times the employer is in New Jersey, but they're taking some employment agreement from Delaware, and they're cutting and pasting, cut and pasting, but the employment agreement is applicable in Delaware state, not in New Jersey or New York state. The employee is sitting in India. You understand what I mean? So those are the errors they do. But somebody is sitting in India, what they can do, they can do because they're not taking the help of a lawyer. And many employers, don't get me wrong, and these guys will tell the employees that I'm using the lawyer, but they're not using the lawyer. They're doing it on their own. So ask, your employer who's the attorney, and find out. And of course, there is a client confidentiality between the attorney and the employer, not the employee. So the attorney doesn't have right or an obligation to reveal a lot of information to the employee. But if the employer permits, then he can. But there are a couple of things, as I said to you earlier, that what is the turnover, how many employees, there are certain confidential information. It can be confidential, but there are a lot of things that are public information. So those things can be revealed. Filing of H1B, either regular processing or premium processing. We strongly recommend not to do premium processing. Why? Because you're paying more money to the immigration. The officers has a lot of time and they will come up with a request for further evidence. Why? Because even if the H1 is approved in April, the employee cannot go to the consulate until October because the quota is starting from October. The employee has right to work from October 2024, not in April. Sometimes the employers are anxious. Sometimes employees will say, oh, can you do the premium process? But even if you get an approval now, you cannot go to the embassy. You can only go in October. Once your H1 is stamped, then you can only come by October 1st week to come and join the employer. So it's not a big rush. You spend money on a premium processing. So we suggest, my firm suggests that it should go in a regular processing. Even, after going on regular processing by October or sometime September, October, if your H1 is not approved, then they can go for premium processing. The other most important thing is what technologies and which client. Most of the time we get clients. Can we file an H1B if you don't have a client? The answer is yes, you can file it. If you have a bona fide work in your in-house office. We have done a lot of H1s for clients who don't have clients, and they had some in-house projects. My firm has done H1s for them. H1s have been approved, and even the consulate has approved the H1Bs. Even people have entered into the country. So the question is, many times we get calls, because there are small time projects and there are large projects, medium-sized projects. Immigration cannot deny based on the size of the client. That's another misnomer. A lot of employers says, "Oh, we have a small client. Can it go through?" The answer is yes. The immigration is looking at whether it is a bona fide job offer. Is the employee coming to perform that particular job? Is he going to come and work for that employer and the client? And is the employer having 3 years of job for this? Is the employer having ability to pay salaries for 3 years? And all of that. Those are the questions for them.
Lastly, I just want to know how different is the registration process this year compared to the traditional H1B Cap visa?
Well, there's nothing. It's the same thing. This year, what they've done, the immigration from the last year, because of the multiple registrations and frauds committed, what they've done, they have changed the registration process. Before, it was based on employer name. You could log in with the employer name. Now, what they're doing, they're going on the employee passport. So employees have to be very careful. If you have more than 2 passports from 2 different countries, only use one country's passport number, and don't use old passport numbers. Latest passport number, which is valid, because the employer is going to register based on the beneficiary's passport number. And if you're filing it from 2 employers, so use that passport number. You cannot do multiple applications because immigration is going to track that, and that is the change they have made this time in registration process. But other than that, there's nothing except this, because they want to see that there's not going to be multiple registrations and a violation of immigration law.
And are there any tips that you want to give for the new students who want to come to the USA?
Well, we're getting a lot of calls, a lot of students who are again who studied in America for 2 semesters. When they go home, also when they're coming back, they have to be careful. We're getting a lot of calls, my firm, that they're getting deported, because border security guys are, when you come back again, don't think that, oh, okay, I'm going after 2 semesters, I'm coming. They will not check you. They're checking up your social media. They're checking up your bank statements. If you're working in America, depositing the money, they're deporting you. We're getting a lot of calls. So you got to be careful. Don't think that you know the law. You lived in America for 2 semesters. Be careful and check out your I-20s, check out your social media, check out your banks, check out everything before you come. And definitely they can call us if you have any questions. We're getting a lot of calls, and our offices are in India as well and in America. And our firm is in Manhattan. We're open from Mondays to Saturdays. And a lot of them, they know me, Srinivas Kaveti. If they Google me, they get all my phone numbers, Indian officers, US officers. We do a lot of free consultations for students. Initially, if they retain us, then we will charge. And all this, what we're doing is only for entertainment and information purposes. No, it's not a legal advice. There's no attorney-client relationship here. We're not trying to solicit a business. If they have any specific question, they should contact some competent immigration attorney. There are 50 states. There are a lot of immigration lawyers. They should get in touch with them, get some legal advice. So my strong advice is to people who are watching this show, they should contact immigration attorneys, not believe on Google Amma, Mother, or Chat GPT. They must contact some competent immigration attorneys so that their rights can be protected. That's all my advice for people who are watching this show.
Thank you, Kaveti. It was really, really helpful with the whatever information you gave. And thank you for joining us on our show. Can't wait to meet you in India again. And to the audience, if you have any other legal advice, if you need any other legal advices, please feel free to log on to the website and clear your doubts. Thank you, Kaveti Garu, for joining us on our show. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Nitya.
Thank you very much, Nitya. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Bye.